Hi guys, welcome to Complete Beginner Python to Advanced course. So in this course, my aim is to basically equip someone who has never written a single line of Python code to an advanced level Python programmer who can write any program according to the requirements and which solves the uh, purpose they are trying to resolve, right? So my course structure is somewhat similar to what you see on the slide. I have thought about how to present the different contents in what manner, and I think this is a good ordering of topics that will slowly help you understand each and every functionality that's there for Python programming in a linear manner, right? So that it's not too fast and not too slow, right? And we're able to grasp the next concept before, if you have gone through the previous section already. So, how I will structure my course is basically I will start by guiding you all on installing Python and an IDE. For this tutorial, I will be using PyCharm. There are a lot of different IDEs, but I will be using PyCharm. So it will be easy for you while you're following this tutorial if you are installing PyCharm as well. So that's just my recommendation. If you want to use another ID, please go ahead. Okay, you'll find the manuals online. So the next topic that I'm going to explore is how do you write your first Python program? If you have never written a single line of Python program in your life, you can write your first Python program, and it's not just a print hello world program. I will explain how an actual Python program looks and explain the different components of it. You know, so that later when I'm writing the code in that manner, you are able to understand how uh, a Python program functions. Third, I will go through the different data types of Python, right? So there are strings, and then there are integers, numbers, floats, all of that. How do you convert one data type to another? Basic data types and how Python actually interprets the data type. Number four. So we in the fourth part of the tutorial, we'll explore the different string operations in Python. There are numerous string operations that are used on a daily basis to perform data analytics and to perform data analytics over a very large set of data, which is to extract some substring from a string, or you want to delimit a string. Those kind of topics I will touch base, right? And then on the next topic, we will get familiar with user defined function. Now, this is where the course gets you to a little bit more advanced area where you are going to write your own user defined functions and not use the ones that are inbuilt, right? So I will give detailed the instructions about how to write user defined functions. Similar to that, user-defined functions. Uh, User-defined functions is part of a modular programming. So, what is modular programming? Modular programming means you write a program, and let's say you are a developer who is, responsible for creating a Python program for, let's say, 3 months. So after 3 months, your contract is over, and you have handed over your program to somebody else. Now, someone else have to understand your program, right? So for that, you have to write your program in a modular way. Modular means a program which is like decoupled. It has different functions, different parts of the code that are linked to each other, but they are independent in a way, right? So that's the function, that's the modularity of the Python programs. Okay, so that's where we will discuss user defined functions. Post that, we will dive into a little bit further advanced part of the Python course, which is object oriented programming with classes. how do you define classes, how do you initialize classes, what are classes, how do you define and assign and class object. So that's what we are going to discuss. Okay, so that will give you a picture into the object oriented aspect of Python programming. Next, we are gonna explore an external, though external, but a very crucial part of Python programming, which is Pandas. Okay, so Pandas is basically the bread and butter of Python programming. You can read any kind of file, you can write any kind of file, you can perform data manipulations. So using Pandas data frame. Okay, so inside the Pandas module, there's something called a data frame. So data frame is used across the data analytics environment, and I'm gonna explore in detail when we reach that part of the tutorial. The last part I want to cover in this course is Python modules and libraries, which is similar to get familiar with user-defined functions one, because you have learned how to create user-defined functions, you know how to create classes. Now, how do you define your own libraries and import them into your program? So that's another aspect of the modular programming. Okay, so with that introduction, I hope you are excited to learn about these aspects of Python programming. So, yeah, let's start.
Okay, so in today's video, we are gonna uh, go through how to set up your Python along with PyCharm. Okay, there are a lot of IDEs available for Python. For example, PyCharm, there's VS Code, there's Eclipse, there's n number of IDs or integrated development environments available for Python. Okay, but my personal choice is PyCharm because of its flexibility and its sole purpose is catering to the diverse Python needs, right? So PyCharm is a widely used IDE for that purpose. Okay, so let's first go to Google and type PyCharm. Okay, so when you go to PyCharm homepage, it will ask you to download. Go to download, and then inside the download section, select Community Edition. So Community Edition is the free edition, and the normal edition is the paid version. Okay, which has limited features which the professionals need. Okay, you don't need it for most of the purposes. So I'm going to download this one. Okay, so while this is downloading, let me tell you that PyCharm has a lot of add-in support. It's easy to use and it's very user friendly. I mean to say. Okay, while PyCharm is downloading, let's also download Python. So how to download Python? Again, go to Google and download type Python. Okay, so you'll be going to the Python landing page, and then you will need to make sure you download the latest version of Python. Right? Go to downloads, all releases, and then it will show the latest release 3.1, 3.5. So that's also started downloading. Okay. So we are going to start our installation of PyCharm. Next, next. Yeah, make sure to add this because any Python files that you want to open is going to be opened in PyCharm. Okay, if you want that, check this box. Otherwise, you can leave it unchecked. Right? I want to add a desktop shortcut and make sure to add this because if you don't add, you won't be able to use terminal commands inside PyCharm that you want to use in future, right? Okay, click next, install. Okay, while this is installing, let's also install Python. So we downloaded Python 3.1, 3.5. Install now. So, I'm having used a lot of IDs. I feel the PyCharm is the most user-friendly integration with Python that it provides. So that's why I prefer PyCharm even to till date. Having used VS Code a lot, having used other IDs a lot, PyCharm is still my favorite. Okay. So Python installation was successful. Now we are just waiting for PyCharm installation. And the most important thing is PyCharm like keeps updating its features year over year or month over month to adapt to the changing Python related coding standards and all that. So that's really great about that. It's very easy to add modules in PyCharm. Okay, I don't want to manually reboot later. You can do now because it's really not necessary. So I created the desktop shortcut. I'm gonna click on this. See, we installed PyCharm, we installed Python. Now we want to integrate both of them. Okay, it's very easy. I want to skip import. I want to do a new project, and let's call this project Python project test. See, Python version 3.13. That's the very version we downloaded, right? So it's automatically popping up. So I'm clicking here and click create. I will even show you by creating a Python file that it's working. Okay. So this on the left pane is your project overview. Right now you have .pnb. So let me right click create a new Python file which I shall call test.py. Okay. And in test.py, let's just say print hello users. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is right click anywhere and click run test. See, hello users. Okay. So it's that simple. You have to download PyCharm, download the Python, it will automatically integrate, and you can run your code in PyCharm immediately. Okay, if you have gone through the installation of PyCharm and Python, you should be like having a new project like me, and inside that you can create any Python file. Like, let me delete this and show you how to create a new file. Right? Just hit delete. Okay, and then I'm gonna click new Python file and I'll say basic test. Okay. So for the very first Python script, right? Like we all know hello world, but I just want to write something more complex so that gives you an overall interest and idea about how Python programs are usually structured in a little bit more advanced levels, right? So let's just print hello world, but in a different modular fashion. Okay. So the first point is I will write a function. Okay, I will describe all of this later, but I'm going to write a function. Def. You don't have to understand all the syntax right now. I'll explain. Def print hello. Okay, and then I'll pass let's say some text. Okay, return str txt hello. Let's not call it. Let's call it name. Let's call it name. Let's this balance. Okay, so that's fine. And basically, any entry point to a Python program is you absolutely have to write this one. Okay, It is basically your main entry point of the code. How it goes is underscore underscore name underscore underscore equal to underscore underscore main underscore underscore and column. If then you have to call, let's say print underscore hello. Let's say I'm passing a name called AI data coach, right? Now, basically, I will store this in a variable. Okay, let's call it var1. Okay, and then I want to print the value of var1. So then let me run it. Okay, I haven't saved this. Can't open file, not test.py. I want to run basic test. Yeah. See, hello AI data coach. If I just add hello space, hello AI data coach, you can change any of these, right? ABC, and then you run it. So what it does is, this is the entry point. Very first thing it will do is it will do variable assignment. Okay, variable inside this variable, the output of this function will get stored. Now, what this function is doing, this function is taking name as a parameter and it is appending hello to that name and returning that. Where it will return? It will return it to this variable. And then I'm printing this variable, meaning I'm just printing out. Right? So this is a very basic hello world program, but this should be your this should give you idea on how we should structure our Python programs, because Python is an object oriented language, and it has to be written in a modular fashion, which is which means it will help users to later change the code or modify the functions without too much efforts. Okay, so I hope that's a good introduction to Python programming.
Going to explain the data types and variables that are used in Python. So in my previous videos, I have shown you how to install PyCharm, Python, and write a basic Hello World program. So now we'll delve a bit deeper and discuss about variables and data types that are inbuilt into Python, right? And how you do operations on top of that. So let me start with the very first variable. Uh, Before I go into the first variable, I want to say that in other languages you have to explicitly define that it's an integer, it's a variable, it's a alphanumeric number, or it's a floating point number, that kind of thing. Okay, or it's a list, it's an array, all of that. But Python has an ability to identify the data type just by looking at the variable assignment. For example, uh, I will define now, go to the very first type of data that we are going to be using. So let's call it name equal to, let's say, C, right? And I want to know what is the type of this variable. For that, I have to do print type of name. Okay, so it says class string, so means it's a string type. Now let's say I convert this name into some number, right? Now if I run this, it will say class int. If I change it to 56.00 and run it, it says class float. See, Python automatically takes the variable assignment. According to the variable assignment, it identifies what kind of data it is. Okay. Now, there's a common confusion with beginners, is that how do you combine strings and numbers, right? So because the thing is, let's say you have num1 variable, right, which is 56, and then you have a num2 where by mistake you said 60, right? And then you
want to sum those two numbers, num1 comma num2, right? See, it says int object is not iterable. Okay, so basically we have, what we have to do is we have to remove the double quotes. So then if I do num1 plus num2, it's going to give me the correct result. So that's a very uh, thing that we should keep in mind whenever we are operating on strings and integers together. Okay, so having said that, I also want to define what are Python lists. Okay, and there's a very special feature of the string data type, that thus a string is actually a list. Now what is a list? List is, let's say I have one list ls1. How you define it is equal to square brackets, and then you say a, and then you say b, and then you say c, right? Then I want to print it, so it's gonna print that, right? Now what is the type? If I want to see the type, then that's list, right? Now there are list manipulations that you can do using string. Okay, so for example, you have str1 equal to a dot b dot c. Okay, and let's say I am doing dot strip split dot split based on dot. Okay, now let me print str1. See, that is also a list. As soon as I split it, it was a string, I split it by dot, and it's a list, right? So those are few things to remember, that a string is also by nature a list. Okay, so hope this video helped you to learn a bit more about how variable assignments work, and how you work with different types of variables. How do you see the type of variable that you are using, and the basics of the string function. Okay. Hi, string data type. So in my last video I explained about various data types, and in the previous video I talked about how to set up your Python with PyCharm. So if you have already have a setup of Python, and you have gone through the data type, so I will delve a bit more into the string data type, because string is used for a lot of data manipulations. Okay, with that, let me get started. So I have defined here two strings. Okay, one is var1 and one is var2, and as I said, Python automatically identifies them as string, and you don't have to do a explicit assignment anywhere. Okay, so now, if just to show you how many string operations are there, I will do var1 dot c split, find, join, count, capitalize, center, encode, isnum, is alpha. Anything that you see with is a boolean kind of thing. And then you have partition, you have a right partition, you have starts with, upper, and all that, right? So let's say I have, let me use a very basic function. So let's say mod underscore str equal to var1 dot upper. Okay, and then print, let's print var1, and then print mod string, right? See, this was the original string, and here everything is capitalized, right? So that's what the upper is. Similarly, you can do lower. See, here the s was capital, c was capital, and now everything is in lowercase. So that's the lower operation. Okay, Now let's say I want to see what happened is it has joined basically both. Okay, var1 as well as var2. So var1 was it has basically joined uh, wait a second. Or simply what you can do is you can do var1 plus var2 if you want to join, right? So that will also join both of them, string 2. See, it joined. So that's how you concatenate. Then let's say there are three components to this variable, right? So I want to split it out into three components, and I just want to print the second component, comp1, right? So for that we have split operation. So I will tell it what to split it with, the delimiter, and then once you split it, it will become a list, right? And list we always give indexes. So the index is 1 because it starts from 0 in Python. So if I do this, it will just print comp1. If you give the index as 2, then it will print comp2, right? So that's the split operation. After that, I will use the find operation. Okay. What the find operation does is, let's say you want to find out at what position the first dot in var1 is, right? So what you're going to do is you will say find dot. It will tell the position 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 0, of course, right? So at the 7th position you have the dot. Similarly, if you want to find where comp 1 is, right, it will tell you 8 because after the dot comp 1 is there. Okay, so that's the find function. Then another function that's pretty handy is see, again, index does the same thing. It will give you the position of that component. Okay, then there are certain boolean kind of functions that I want to explain. Okay, so if I say that var1 dot is lower, okay, this var1 dot is lower is always going to return either true or false. Okay, so as we all see, this is not all in lowercase, right? So we expect this to show as false. So let's run. See, it's false. Okay, similarly you can do is upper. Again, it's not upper, right? But what if I do dot upper dot is upper, right? Then true. I have made it uppercase and then checking if it is uppercase, so that will return true, right? Another component is count, right? Let's say you want to count the number of C's, what I did, the letter C in variable 1. It will tell you the count of that. So comp1, comp2 has 2 C's in it, so it will print 2. Okay. um, yeah, I think those are pretty much basic functions that you're going to use on a day-to-day basis, and I will explain more functions in the upcoming tutorials, but hope this gave you a lot of insights into the various different functions that Python provide for string operations. Talk about the user defined functions that Python provides, and how do you call them, how do you write them, and how to use them, to create a more modular program. Okay, so so first let me show you how to create a user defined function, right? So what I'm gonna do is I will write def, and then I will say concat. Okay, and then I will, this function will concatenate two strings whichever is provided to it. Okay, so when defining the function, you always have to define the parameters that it should take as an input. So I'm saying str1 comma str2, and then I'm put a colon, enter, and say return str1 plus str2, right? Let's put this in brackets. Okay, yeah, so that's our function. So now let's say I want to call this function. Now I will say concat is a Python keyword. Let me call concat1. Okay, so let me say concat1, and then I'm gonna pass a string abc, and another string I'm gonna pass is def. Okay, and then let me store this in a variable, call it func output. Okay, and then we are going to print the func underscore output and see what it does. See, it concatenated both ABC and DEF. You can change anything you want here, and every time you call the function, it's going to. So basically, let's say you have to do a lot of concatenations in your program, but you have to write A plus B multiple times. You don't have to do that. This is a simple example. There can be this can be a big function, basically doing a lot of operations, and you don't want to write those many lines of code multiple times. That's not a good practice, and that's very difficult to maintain. So that's why for modular programming, you have to define functions which will perform a common task that gets called multiple times in a program, and you have to call that. Okay, so hope this video helped you understand how to create user defined functions, how to call them, and how to assign them to a variable and print it. So thanks for watching this video, and if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hi guys, so in today's video we'll go through classes and other object oriented programming. So basically we have this small script defined, so I'll go through each and every part of the syntax that will be helpful for you. Okay, so this is the class. Okay, class is nothing but a template of an object that you can create. Okay, so for me that template is that of a dog. Okay, it has name, it has breed, it has color. Okay, and inside these classes you can define different functions. Okay, so for example, one function you have to absolutely mandatorily define is the init function, right? Because in the init function it will basically assign the variable values that you want it to be accessed across the different functions of that class. Okay, so what I've done here is def init self name, that's the basic syntax. Then self dot name is name, whatever is passed to this class. object when it's formed, then the breed, then the color, lab, brown, and then there's something called print color. Okay, cell. So inside the main function, what I've done is I have created an object. Okay, there are objects which I've defined earlier, which were integers, which were float, which were strings, but this is an object of type dog. Okay, so my pet dog variable will store an object, instance of the object dog class. Okay, so and then I'm passing the name which is required. My dog's name is Bria, so I'm passing Bria, and then I'm gonna print my dog, my pet dog dot print color. Okay, so even let me remove that, right? That even that's not required. So what I can do is my pet dog dot color, right? And if I run this, it says brown, right? So because you have defined the color as brown for that, for any object that you create of type dog, and you have defined self dot color as brown, it will take brown and print that color, right? But if you want it to be dynamic, you have to give color here, right? So then what we can say is equal to color, right? And then I'm gonna pass black. See, black. So this time it took as an argument the black color, and it assigned it to the self dot color, and the object that got created through the class got assigned to the black color, right? So now using this object that you've created, which is an instance of the class, right, you can define other functions. For example, let's define something like describe dog. Okay, here I wanna, always in any function inside the class you have to say the self argument, because that refers to the instance of the object created through the class. Okay, so let's say I wanna print that your dog is, and I'm gonna say self dot breed and of color self dot color, right? So let's say how this works. So okay, this time I'm gonna print um, my pet dog dot dsc dog. Okay, let's run this. Your dog is lab and of color black. See, that's how it will take the objects. I hope this explained how we define classes, how we define functions inside the classes. So hope this video helped. Hi guys, welcome to today's video. So in this video we'll talk about the pandas data frame. Okay, so pandas data frame, for that you need to have the pandas module installed in your system. So like if I go to terminal, I will type pip install. Let me first uninstall it. Okay, now you have to do pip install pandas. So it's downloading pandas module. Meanwhile we'll start writing our code. Let's say I'll do import pandas as pd, right? Pd is the short form that we'll call pandas from now on whenever we refer to pandas. Okay, so once we do that, there's two ways you can actually create a pandas data frame. It's by first maybe defining a data, which is something like this, something like a dictionary, right, with a key value pair, where I say, let's say, name, column, and then I say Amit, comma, Rahul, and then let's say I have their phone numbers. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0, right? So now what we'll do is we will first print this data to see how it looks like. See, this is the data. Now we want to convert this into a data frame, right? Let's call it df. Df is equal to pd, as pandas, pd dot data frame of data, right? Now let's see how it looks like. See, it created a data frame with this format, a tabular format, with name and the phone number corresponding to each, right? That's one way of creating a data frame. Another way of creating a data frame is basically by reading from a file. So let's say I have book1.csv, which has some data, and I want to read it. So what I'm going to do is pd.read underscore csv, and then I will provide the file name. See, now it showing the data from that file, right? So these are two ways that you can create a data frame and assign data to it. Right now, now let's say our df has name, phone and address, right? Now I just want to, let's say, look at the names, right? So what I'm going to do is df2 is equal to df dot loc 0 comma name. So let's say I'm gonna just look at the name column, right? So I'm gonna say df dot lock, and then I will give the access, and I will print df2. See, it will just give me the name that's at the position 0, right? At, so at position 0 we had abc as the name, right? So that's how lock works, okay. And now instead of giving the column name as name here, you know that the name column is at the very first uh, 0th position, right? So for that there's an ilock function. So if I do that, print df, and then do this, right? So see, again you get the result abc, right? Now let's say I want to look at this one. So here I'm gonna give the the index of 4, and I want to give the second column, right? So 1. So let's see, it should print sds. See, it print as sds. So that's how you extract data from that. Now the next topic I want to go over is basically how do you know how big your data frame is, how many rows it contains, right? For that, what you have to do is simply write len of df. See, it gave 6 rows, right? Let me remove this. It gave 6 rows. So that's the length of the data frame, okay. Now another important function of data frame is basically like reading csv. You can also write your output of the data frame into another file. For that, let me do some manipulations on this data frame. Let's say I just want to drop few columns, from this data frame. Now in my final data frame I just want name and phone number, right? So how do I do that? I will do df2 is equal to df1, and then I will say name comma phone. And I keep forgetting the quotes, right? Now if I print df2, see, it just gave me name and phone, right? So now let's write this into a new file. df2 dot write to underscore csv, and say df2 dot csv, right? So if I run that, you will see df2 dot csv created here, which just contains name and the phone number, right? And while writing, if you don't want this index column here, right, which is automatically added, you can say index equal to false. If you do that, it's gonna simply write it in this format, okay? And right now it is saying c1 c2, right? It is not taking my name and phone as headers, and I want them as headers. So I will say comma headers, header equal to true, right? And then run it. So now again in df2, now you have the headers as name and phone. So these are few simple operations you have to keep in mind while you are writing to a data frame, right? Now coming to another aspect of data frame is how to iterate through a data frame, right? You have a large number of rows, you want to perform some unique operations on each of the rows, or a simple operation across the rows. So for that you have to write a for loop to iterate through the data frame, right? So let's keep our original data frame which we read from book 1. Now what I'm gonna do is I will print each line one by one, right? So for that you can use iter rows, okay? So for that you will say for index comma value in df dot iter rows, and print index value, right? See, for each index it's printing each of the values. So for the very first index it has name this, phone this, address this, right? Now basically what if you just want to extract the phone for index number 1, right? So what I'm gonna say is if my index equal to 1, then print value dot c def, right? So it printed that. So if index is 1, print the value of phone. So it printed def. So that's how you iterate through a data frame, okay? So I think that's the most important operations of the data frames that I have told you in today's video. So hope you like this video and you find this helpful. Hi guys, welcome to today's video. This will be on using Python modules. What are Python modules? How do you create your own Python modules, and what are the inbuilt Python modules? I'll give a short introduction on that, right? So Python modules is nothing but you have, let's say you have a huge script, and in that huge script you are basically you have to write another script where there are a large portion of that code from the previous script is being reused. So for that, what you can do is create a module or create a common Python file which has all the common functionalities defined in it, right? Common functions defined in it that can be reused across different Python scripts. Okay, so let's say in the last video I created this function, right, which is a concat function. Okay, let me come to that later. So let me show you some of the and how to import modules. So if you have PyCharm installed, you will have, I think, Pandas as well. Okay, I think it's not installed. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna install a pip install pandas. So the pip install command basically downloads any module, any inbuilt or externally created, because a lot of people create Python modules and they publish it on the Python server. So that's all available. So the simple command is pip install the module and it will install the module. See, it's happening on the screen right now. Okay. Let it install. Meanwhile, what we'll do is, let me create my own library, right? Okay, let's call it lib1. Okay, inside lib1, let's say I have concat. I'm totally removing it from the script. Okay, here I'll put it. Okay, and then let's say I want to use the concat1 function. Now concat1 function is not available in the script. It has gone to a different file, which is my library. Okay, now simply what I have to do is I have to say import lib1. Okay, and then here you can say lib1.concat and then you can run it. See, it's still functioning. So what you basically did is you wrote the function in a different file and you are just importing that file and then you are executing it. If you don't want to write this lib1.concat every time you want to call it, what you can do is there's a different format of writing import, and that's from lib1 import concat1. Okay, then you need not write this, you can simply say this and it's still gonna function, right? So these are two ways of writing import statements. So like I said, there are some inbuilt libraries as well. For example, pandas, which we just installed, so you saw the red line gone away. So now I can use pandas as well, right? So I'll give you a small example of how to use pandas, right? So let's say I want to do, let's say I will go to Excel and create a worksheet. So name, phone, address, right? And then something, something, something in each of the fields. And then I'll save it into more locations. I want to exactly save it inside my, no, it's not getting saved file. Save as this PC documents book one. Okay, so okay, so what I will do is documents book one. I'm gonna drag this here. Okay, so now you have book1.xlsx. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll say df equal to pd dot read underscore excel and then I'm gonna provide the path book1.xlsx. You can always shorten it. Okay, so whenever you're referring to PD, it will know that it's calling pandas because I've written import pandas as PD. So what I said is just read this Excel file for me. Okay, I also need to install open pyxl. So instead of an xlsx, right? So so there's another thing I want to show. So if you want to open this in File Explorer, you can right click here and click on Open in Explorer. Okay, so basically instead of an Excel file, let me save as comma delimited file save. Okay, so then I'm gonna read a CSV file, and I'm gonna change the command to read underscore CSV. Okay, so it read it. Okay, now if I want to print what this what it read from the file, I'll just say df. See, it printed out the output of the Excel. So these are how you use the import functions from either inbuilt libraries that you have to install using pip install, or you can create your own functions. But make sure whatever libraries you create, right, that has a list of functions only, right? Yeah, that's pretty much about Python modules and libraries. So we have come to the end of the course, Complete Python Beginner to Advanced, right? So I hope you have got a good idea and the flavor of Python. Whoever have started from scratch, or whoever have gone through some parts of the tutorial to understand in depth. And so basically we have covered how to install an IDE like PyCharm and Python. As I said, I have used PyCharm all through the examples, but at this point I really encourage you to use other IDEs and explore them, right? Because it will expand your horizons on that front, right? VS Code is a very popular alternative. I would suggest. Okay, and then we went to learn how to write your first Python program. That gave you insight into how a Python program looks, and we understood various Python data types like strings, numbers, how to convert a data type, and how Python interprets the different data types, right? So then we explored the string data type in depth, and we performed numerous string operations. And here again, I will encourage you to declare a string and do dot, let's say var1 equal to, and then define a string, and then var1 dot. That will list out all the operations that you can perform on the string. That will let you know more about the string functions than what has been covered in the tutorial, right? So apart from that, we got familiar with user defined function, not only within our own script, but also in the Python modules and libraries. The last section of the tutorial, we learned that we can define user defined functions in a different script and actually integrate it with our code by using the import function, right? Then we explored Pandas data frame. So Pandas being an external data frame, as I said, it's very critical. It's used across the platforms, and Pandas data frame is basically your go to library whenever go to data type, whenever you need to do Excel type manipulations, or do some kind of row and column operations, or you have to filter some rows, you have to join some tables, all of that, right? So on this, I will encourage you to maybe read a CSV file and do some data manipulation, so that you are getting more insights into the Pandas data frame. Then we delved into the Python classes, which gave an insight into the object oriented side of the Python programming. So using the Python classes with user defined functions, Python modules and libraries, you can create modular programs, right? So as I explained in the initial part of the tutorial, writing the code in a modular fashion is the sign of a experienced developer, right? So and I hope that you got an idea of how to write modular Python programs. Okay, now um, I have one recommendation for you. So since you all went through this tutorial, and we went through a lot of operations where I explained, and you basically maybe followed with me. For those of you who followed the instructions along with me, that's great. But for those who did not, I would highly encourage that you go through the video again, pause it, stop it, write whatever I'm sharing on the screen, maybe change it a bit and see what happens. You'll get errors, you can google them and you can fix them, right? And if you have any questions, you can comment and I will be the first one to respond. Okay. And another thing is, I have a recommendation for you is to write your own Python program using Pandas data frame. Okay, because that will be a good point to start. Let's say you define a function which performs some filtering or some kind of data manipulations that's defined in a different script. Okay, you import that module into your original script, and then read the CSV files that you have created in Excel, and you can do data manipulations on that. So that will give you a lot of exposure. Not only this, you can have myriad of ideas, right? Like you can fetch instructions from the website, explore what libraries in Python allows you to do so. So I will from this point onwards, I would encourage you to explore the different libraries, write your own libraries, and have a great journey forward. Thank you.